Yo, what's good? Welcome to Observing the Process. Before we start, I'm hoping you can help me out by supporting the show. You can rate and review it on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. You can share it with your friends, you can blog about it, or discuss it on your own podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe to my channel and like this video, or you can support it directly. You can do this by going to my website. I'll leave a link in the description. Thank you for supporting the show. Listeners like you make it possible. Today on the show, I had Benoit Florençon. Benoit and I have an interesting relationship. We actually didn't meet until very recently, but we've had the same friend group for a very long time. When I first moved to Shanghai, I moved into this apartment called 1101. And I got super lucky that all the guys in the house skate and they happen to be from America. So I just fit in very well. And Benoit moved out of China in December of 2014, and I moved in January 2015. So we just missed each other, but have had the same friend group. So we talk a lot about the history of this apartment and how it's held so many creative people in the skate industry and just art industry, creative industry. So it was really cool to break down his experience before I got here and my experience kind of after he left. He's a super talented photographer focusing in architecture and retail. So we talked about that. It's a really good episode, and I had a really good time chatting with him. So please give it up for Benoit Florençon.
In the land of China, people hardly got nothing at all.
No possessions?
And in China, they never go to church.
No religion too?
Or do magic.
Well, it's easy if you try, dude.
3, 2, 1. Okay, we're live. Benoit, thanks for coming in. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
How does it feel to be back in 1101?
I don't know, man. It's a lot of memories.
Yeah?
I've been going down memory lane a lot these past few days, being back in town after like 4 years.
Yeah?
Yeah. And this was not a stop I was expecting to make, but I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah. So to give the audience a little context, Benoit and I have actually never met in person. We just have been talking on Instagram for a
Very much
while.
so.
And what's interesting, as I just realized today, is you moved here. When did you move here?
Here now,
To Shanghai.
To Shanghai. August 2006.
Oh, 2006.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's earlier than I thought. Anyways, what I'm getting at is you moved here or you left in 2015, roughly.
December.
That's exactly when I arrived.
Right.
So that's fine. Like I took over right as you were leaving. I picked up.
Your whole experience is what I'm missing.
Yeah.
As an experience here.
That's
very much.
interesting.
Yeah.
So I just realized to that today. So anyways, I mean, so we don't know each other that well. I thought this could be a cool opportunity to get to know each other because we've shared the same friend group, like J-Mart, Charlie. Like we've just been chilling the past few days. So
Yeah.
I thought it'd be cool to see what I missed from like 2006 to 2015. Probably quite a bit.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, let's try to condense it.
Yeah, we can condense it.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to start off, even before we get to Shanghai, like where did you grow up?
So I grew up in the south of France,
Mm-hmm.
which is known as Provence.
Mm.
The biggest city around is Avignon, and the even bigger city, but further down, is Marseille. So I grew up like an hour away from Marseille, pretty much.
Okay.
No brothers and sisters.
Pull this a little closer to your face. Yeah.
No brothers and sisters. Lived in the boonies. Had a pretty laid-back childhood, I guess.
Mm.
Then moved to University City in 2003.
Yeah, and then when did you get to? Usually, I like to get to the part of my guest's life when they eventually got to college, or what did you study in college?
So I got to college. I studied Chinese and English.
That's what's interesting. We talked about that the other day, that you studied Chinese even before you got to China. Because for me, like I didn't have like a plan to ever even get to China.
Right.
So where did you study?
What did I study?
Where did you study?
Where did I study? I studied in Montpellier in the south. Like it's a coastal city. It's a full-on student city. And I picked Chinese because so I wanted to do like some English studies. But I told myself, if I only study English, I'm not really going to do anything. I'm just going to be like very lazy and let it go through. So I was like, I need something that really balances and like puts me on edge the whole time. And my university was giving Chinese, Russian, or Arabic classes at the time for like exotic languages. And like, to be very honest, one of my friends signed up for Chinese, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll just sign up with you.
So 1 out of 3 chance.
Yeah, and
you
it
could have ended up in Russia, or
it could have been Russia, or it could have been like Saudi Arabia, I guess,
Yeah.
But it's really all about like, I chose this as never know what's gonna happen next, and next thing I know, I'm in Shanghai. I mean, not next thing, but like, that's where it brought me after a while.
Yeah, I actually went to school in Vermont, which is very close to Montreal.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would go up to Montreal on the weekends. Not usually, but rarely. Once in a while, we would go up because the drinking age was 18. And what's up?
How do you know I went to Montreal?
We talked about it last night.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Remember, not last night, like 2 nights ago. Remember? Oh, I guess you don't remember.
Yeah, you have a better memory than I do. Yeah, I went to Montreal for 1 semester. I was supposed to go there for a whole year. And when I heard my university had exchanges with a Chinese university in Shanghai, that's when I quit my exchange in Montreal, came back to France, graduated, and applied for my Shanghai scholarship. And that's how I got here.
Oh, okay. So 2006 was when you arrived in Shanghai?
Yeah, I got here in 2006. And I was at which is in...
It's a university?
It's a university. I absolutely forgot the English name of it.
Whatever. For people who don't know, Dashui means university. That's all I picked up.
And for people who know a bit of the city, this is where one of the coolest kart track of the city is, a karting track, like a race track.
Oh, really?
Chongfeng Park, up north, Zhongshan Park. So I spent 2 to 3, 4 months over there. I was sharing a house with some of my classmates. And it was the first year of the program, and everything was very unruly and like very not set properly. So after a while, I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm leaving. So I was doing a master's degree in Chinese studies. That's the whole like background. So I was doing this master's degree of Chinese studies. I already had like my bachelor degree in Chinese and English. And I was like, you know what, fuck it, I don't want to stay at the university. Shanghai looks like it has much more opportunities than anything that I've come in contact with ever in my life. So let's try to stay here, like one way or another. And France was like super shit at the time as well. I don't know if Charlie said the same thing, but it's not a country that sells the dream. So I was like, I'm here. I don't really want to go home. Just find a way to stay here.
So you got here in 2006, and your plan was to finish university, or it was like a study abroad program?
It was a study abroad program. For me, it was just like, you know what, let's get out of the country and let's go explore the world. Yeah.
That's the way I felt too. Is like Shanghai was a central hub to Asia where I could, get to Japan, Indonesia, anywhere, and it would have just been way more accessible than being back in America. Yeah, I was super excited about that. So you studied at university, and did you go back to France after that, or did you just stay? You finished
in Shanghai?
Yeah.
No, I just basically I quit university. Like I dropped out of university.
What?
And,
I didn't know that.
So what happened is, I think it's probably still the case, but if you know a bunch of people who know people who know people, you end up like getting a job like without really knowing what the fuck happened.
Sure.
And I started working for an American journalist. You didn't know about that.
Nope, don't know about this.
Who was writing newsletters about financial news all over Southeast Asia. And I worked for a while. So I would just like interview people on the phone, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
Full of surprises.
Full of surprises.
And I did this for a while, and the pay was super shit.
It was in 2006 or 2007?
2007, like 6, 7.
Sure.
I seriously don't remember, like, clearly.
I guess that's a long time ago. Dude, I was in early high school in 2007.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 27 years old.
Oh, Jesus years.
Yeah.
And
So
I was 27 years old, my friend.
you were 27. Wow. Okay. So you were 27 when you first got here.
No, I was 23 when I got here. So I was seriously rotten by the time I was 27.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So I worked with this American journalist. And then around the conversation...
Just try and talk more into the mic.
Sorry. Yeah. And around like conversation at the bar with other friends, one of my friends like, yeah, like I work for this e-commerce company who's looking for a French and English speaking person to manage their like market, like their French and Canadian markets. And I was like, well, I'm a bit of a nerd. I speak the languages and like I'm not too bad with numbers.
So your Mandarin was pretty good at that point, or
my what?
Your Mandarin?
My Mandarin was okay. My Mandarin was okay.
But it was more like your English and your French.
Yeah, it was.
That was the selling point.
Yeah, the selling point was just English and French, and that they needed people fast, and they were not really regarded.
Well, that's what I thought was so cool about China when I first. It felt like you could get into any industry so
Absolutely.
easily. It was just so completely different from my experience when I was in college. Like when I was in college, I felt like, you had to have like the most perfect resume. You had to have like the correct like degree and blah blah blah. And in China, it's like, do you have the willingness to try and do this? Like, do you look like you want to do this? Okay, we'll hire you.
And like if you suck, they just fire you. But I just give you a chance. And I think that for a lot of us, maybe Europeans or French, like we all grew up hearing about the American dream, and I think by the time we were old enough to figure out what it was, like this was kind of like the idea was over, and like it didn't exist anymore. And I felt like Shanghai at the time was kind of like the Eastern, like Asian dream somehow. Like you could come here, and if you were willing to bust your ass, you could like do shit that nobody would like let you try back home. Pretty much.
Definitely. I feel the same way. Like I used to tell people like anyone should come here, like anyone. But now I still feel that way. But now I've reset my thought to that. Like you should come here if you really want to put yourself in somewhat of a difficult situation. Yeah. And then like the possibilities are endless if you really want to try.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you'll be full of cheat codes once you go back home.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm so envious of kids that grow up here and they have that, like I had Rodney Evans, Central Studios.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so his kid is growing up here and he's growing up like he's going to be fluent in English, fluent in Chinese, and he's going to have a network of expat friends when he's older. I'm so envious of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I hope they're doing good. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah, no, Rodney's great. Yeah, he's been doing good.
Lovely.
Yeah. So let's get into, eventually, I want to talk about 1101. And my audience and guests, they might not be too interested, but I'm super interested. Right. 1101 is the apartment that I first moved into when I got to Shanghai. I got super lucky. I was sleeping on my friend's couch, and then a friend had an opening for a room, and I just moved in. Who was it? It was Kossi.
I don't know Kossi.
Kossi is Chinese girl. She's a friend.
Okay.
And she knew of a room, the room opposite your first room.
My room.
Your room. Your room was open, and so I come take a look at the place. The first thing I see is there's like 4 skateboards at the door when I first get there. I'm like, fuck, all right, perfect. This is sick. It's a house full of skaters and all American dudes. I'm like, wow, I'm going to fit in. Like, this is amazing. I got so lucky. And I mean, for me, it's such a special apartment, like the history that this place has. So I was hoping to dive into that with you. Like when you first moved here, what was the crew like in the house?
When I first moved here, so J-Mart was with us.
Okay.
Louis. And I think a friend of theirs called Emil was a great dude as well. Was here. So it was 1 Frenchie and 3 Americans.
You can pull the mic down a little bit just so you can speak into it. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Like this?
That's perfect.
Oh, that's way much better.
Yeah.
So it was 1 Frenchie and 3 Americans. I think it was okay. Like, I mean, we're all getting along well. I think we all had like things to share, common centers of interest. How did you all meet? Like, how did you all just move in and know each other at the same time, or did? No, so I had met Louis and Jimmer through Charlie. So I'm not a skater, okay?
Yeah.
Let it be clear. I'm not
Let it be clear.
I'm not a skater, but somehow, without even wanting it to, like, lots of my homies were skaters. And I think I met Gemma through Charlie, who was my former roommate and former colleague and best friend all around.
Right.
Yes, so I cannot tell you how we met. I have no idea.
I guess it's so long ago. It doesn't even really matter. Like you guys all eventually moved in.
Yeah,
and
we all
became
moved
friends.
in, or like I think I'm just trying to remember because it's actually good to like also work on the memory a bit. Okay, so I wasn't at university anymore. I was working for this French company. No, cut.
No worries.
Okay, fuck it. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how like the circumstances of why we got here, but I think at the time, like, Louis and Gemma were living together.
I know they were living. They were living in People's Square.
Near People's Square, exactly. Yeah. And they were about to move, and I had an apartment. I had an apartment with Charlie.
Oh, you lived with Charlie.
I lived with Charlie for a few years.
So maybe before we get into 1101, you lived with Charlie in Shanghai. Like when you one of your first roommates. That's an interesting relationship because Charlie's influential in my career in Shanghai because like he is Push, and I interned for Push and eventually like pretty much started my career as a creative in Shanghai. So what was life living like with Charlie? What were you guys doing? What was the day to day like?
I can't talk about it. What was the life like? Well, okay, so like to like backtrack a tiny bit. So I started working for this e-commerce company, and we were looking for stuff, and Charlie interviewed with us, and I had to interview him. It was my first interview, like work interview.
Is that how you met him?
That's how I met him.
You met Charlie in an interview?
I met Charlie in an interview, but the thing is, like, what he didn't know at the time is that at the time Facebook was open and you could see everybody's profile, and I guess like everyone was doing this. So like we checked him out, and it was just like photos of him like absolutely wasted with like bowls of vodkas in his hands and shit. And we were like, if that dude is smart, it's gonna fit perfectly because
that's amazing.
Because the company was run by British people, so the schedule was like going to work and going to the bar and like sing at the bar as long as possible and going back to work just the day after, and like this 5 times a week. So like I met Charlie in an interview. And I think I was wearing like an Obey t-shirt. And he's like, oh, you're a skater? And I'm like, no, blah, blah, blah. So we start talking. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, guy. So like we eventually hire him. I start working, blah, 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 passed. And then one day, so Charlie used to live on Cao Baolu.
Really? Oh,
I don't even know if this is part of the actual center of the city right now, but back in the days, it was far as fuck. And there was nothing over there. And he had 2 Chinese roommates. Oh, it was him and a Chinese couple. So like already like bad, kind of like, bad poor balance in the apartment. And he was fucking miserable over there. And one day I was hanging out at a mall with a friend of mine, and I really need to take a shit. And I'm like, who lives nearby? Because I really want to take a comfortable shit. And I called Charlie and I'm like, yo, dude, I'm really sorry, but I need to come over and take a shit.
I didn't know him that well back then.
No, like I think I knew him like pretty much as I know you, you know.
And there's no WeChat back then. Like, you had to probably call him or text him.
There's not a fucking iPhone back then. I probably like texted him,
hilarious.
You know. And I was like, yo, I'm so sorry, but I don't know if you've ever been in one of the situations, but like, yo, I really need like some, like, I need a favor right now. Like, I leave it clean as I found it, but like, yeah, this was gonna happen. So that was like
one of your first experiences with Charlie.
Yeah, that was one of my first experiences with Charlie. I mean, of course, I don't think like I put it in this like dramatic way. I was gonna like, hey, hi, what's up? Oh, by the way, can I use your bathroom? You know, like, but like, it was seriously what drove me to go to his place at this time.
Oh my
God. We had talked a little bit like over smokes, and he was saying that like his roommates were fucking evil, and like they were just like not interesting. They were just like playing video games all day and like arguing the other time.
That sucks.
So he really wanted to get out of this place. And at the time, I was living with a French friend of mine up in Jing'an on Woodinglu. and she had left, and I was looking for a roommate. So I was like, no, wait, fuck, dude. Like, oh, my timelines are so confused.
Dude, don't worry about it, man. It's been like 10 years.
10, like more than 10 years. Anyway, I was looking for a roommate, and Charlie was looking for a new house. So, you
guys linked up.
Yeah, we linked
And this
up.
is from when to when? Roughly, very roughly. Because I know Charlie told me he got here in like 07 or 08.
Charlie got here in 07 or 08.
I think October of 07. Because I did a podcast with him.
Right.
So he told me, that's how I know this specifically.
Right.
I'm not a stalker, Charlie.
I thought if let me try to like just backtrack a bit. Like 06 I'm at university, then I worked as American journalist. Then 07 I probably worked for the like e-commerce company. And I was living at top of the city, which is like Nanjing Shilu, like area.
Where did you guys live with Charlie?
We lived in Wudinglu. We lived in Shanghai, and this is the thing. Like, I totally forgot about that. We lived in Shanghai, where like I think this is a compound that has seen like more foreigners over the years than any other place in Shanghai. Like, at some point, everyone that we met were like, "Oh yeah, I lived in Shanghai too." Like back in like last year, like me and my friends were living here. So like it was kind of like I wouldn't say like a expat ghetto, but it's a place that had like a lot of apartments available for foreigners at the time.
I really like that about Shanghai. The expat community is very welcoming, actually. Like if I don't know, it was definitely like this way back in the day where if you saw like a white face, like you're gonna be, you'd be like, oh, like you make eyes with someone, and it's like you don't see that many white faces back in the day. Like I'm talking, do you feel the same or no?
It's something that always annoyed me a lot.
Yeah?
So yeah, I was gonna like.
You like to keep to yourself more than. Like,
yeah, I was kind of I'm not here because I want to speak with other expats outside of my group of friends. And maybe that's very shitty thing to say.
No,
but
people are people. Like to each his own.
Like
no
I
judgment.
don't mean bad to like anyone or whatever, but like I wouldn't be. Like, for example, like let's just like take this as an example. Like last night, like after you left at 10 p.m.
Oh, call me out.
So we end up in front of the C-store until way late. And like at some point, it's just like me, Charlie, and these two Swedes. And just like,
Where's J-Mart?
John was gone already, so he was way past his bedtime already as well.
Wow, he's the instigator too.
Yeah. And some dude just like rolls on a bike and he's like, yo, looks like there's a party over here. And we kind of like, no. Like
Nope.
just old friends catching up,
Yeah.
and just like giving him dirty looks, and he just like fucking drove past. But we're like, yeah, dude. Like I think like I never really liked the like surprise expat shit.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from, and I think it just totally depends on where you are in your life. Like if you're at an age where you're in your early 20s and you're looking to meet people and make friends, for sure that's like a positive part of this city.
Yeah.
If you're, in your own way and you kind of want to just like be doing your own thing, catch up with people, I think that just speaks more to where you are in life and what you want out of
most
the
likely.
night.
Yeah, probably. But I think so. Like when Charlie moved in with us, I was living with this German chick. So we had this like 3-bedroom apartment up in Shanghai. Charlie moved in, and like at some point she left, and like we picked up another roommate who happened to be like a former classmate of mine, and who I spent my whole time like getting high with in France back in the days, and like learning Chinese together. And that was kind of perfect. And I think there was a lot of video games like playing. There was a lot of decadence.
Sure. Are you a video game nerd like Charlie is?
Not as much as he is.
Charlie's a super comic nerd and video game nerd.
I like my video games.
Yeah.
I like my video games. And but like through him, because he was skateboarding, I met a whole bunch of people that I had never met before. And I'm not even sure you might have met them, but you probably heard about them.
List off some names.
Like Brian Smith.
I know Brian.
You know Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, so like Brian, Matt, Shane, who's back in Australia, Toby, who's back in Germany. And basically it was like the 5 of us, like Toby, Brian, Charlie, Shane, and myself were kind of like 5 super close homies. And I was kind of like, like I have my crew now. Like it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I really like about Shanghai, and particularly the skate scene here, is it's very welcoming and
Very.
very welcoming. Like, and the creative scene, yeah, go for that beer. Just dig on in. The creative scene kind of blends with the skate scene here. So I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about like when did you get into photography and when did that become like your profession, you would say?
Oh, interesting. Sorry, just like
We're switching out beers here, people. So
reloading. So I guess
Were you always taking photos as a hobby, or were you?
I was more taking photos to document and send to my like friends and family back home. Like I wasn't like much into photography when I came here.
Interesting.
I had like I think I had brought like a Nikon Coolpix with me.
Cool pics.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? But
I don't know what you're talking about. That's the name.
Yeah, it was called Nikon Coolpix 3200.
Yeah.
And it was the shittiest camera in the world.
Okay.
I took digital pictures, which was a big thing at the time.
Right. It's so hard for me to imagine, digital is a big thing because Rodney got into this on his podcast. Like he came from film or that's all there was. Like the digital didn't even exist.
Yeah.
So the transition into digital is like even having to explain that to clients was a thing. Like because they were the last to find out, the process of, the transition between film and digital. Anyways,
so I was just taking photos, like just to show my friends and family what the city looked like. But like nothing really like too thought through or pretentious.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a banging photo from the top floor of the Marriott Hotel in People Square from back in the days. Where like,
it must have been easier to get on rooftops back then.
It was, I mean, for this one photo, it was pretty much a friend of mine left the house super fucking early in the morning, stops by the hotel, starts talking to the staff at the hotel and asks if he can go on the rooftop. And they're like, oh, not today, but like, please come back tomorrow and we'll lead you to the rooftop.
That's amazing.
So he calls me, like he goes home and like he calls me up in the morning. He's like, yo, dude, like you want to go to the rooftop of the Marriott? Like the Marriott is my personal favorite building in Shanghai.
Really? It's Lewis's personal favorite hotel in the world. He only stays at the Marriott.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a fucking Marriott hog. He loves it.
But I mean, for me, it was the first building I saw in Shanghai Center City when I exited the subway in People Square. So I have this vision of like stepping out of the People Square station and I see the JW Marriott in my face. And I think just like burnt in my memory, and I think the shape is cool. It looks pretty evil. Like it could totally be like on a evil building Reddit, subreddits, like without a problem. So anyway, my friend calls me up. He's like, yo, you want to go on top of the Marriott? I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, let's do it. And the day after, we just show up there. We're like, hey, hi. Like, remember? Like my friend's like, yo, remember me? And they led us like all the fucking way to the...
Wow.
And there's a terrace. And they're like, so you see this gigantic metal bowl?
Right. I was about to ask. That is one of my favorite. I have a good photo of that building, not on top of it. It's a beautiful building.
It's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
And we were just basically at a sort of balcony right on this bowl. So we had like a crazy view of People Square, which at the time was very empty. The Jingma was the highest tower in the city. I mean, yeah, dude, like different times.
Yeah. Wow. That's so cool that you got led up there by some random employee. This random dude was like, yeah, let's go. Let's just go explore.
Yeah. It was, I think they were different times. Like these were all different times where like people were not so suspicious of foreigners in Shanghai. I think kids, my generation in Shanghai, like I was 23 at the time. There must have been many, but there were not like as many as today. And it was still very like there was like a lot of like naivety. I don't know if you can say this.
Naivety. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
people
like,
were naive.
People were very naive, and people were fucking nice. So like if you're like we were saying in the elevator just earlier, like if you treat them with respect, they
Right.
respect you back, and
Definitely.
that leaves you a huge chunk of freedom to actually do whatever the fuck you want. You know, as long as you respect people, like nobody's gonna fuck with you.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
you
like
know.
if they had known the better, like to rent a rooftop space like that to just get one photo, like they you can charge like 10,000 RMB just to use the
I
rooftop,
don't know.
but maybe more. And
Dude, that was back in 2006.
Yeah.
Nothing cost 2000. Like, yeah.
well, that's
10K.
but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is
Yeah.
like things have a cost, and what
Yeah.
I appreciate about your story is that some guy just wanted to be a person to another person.
Yeah,
They just wanted
very
to
much
like
so.
they just wanted to like, oh, I have access. Of course, I'll show you up. Like
Yeah.
let's
Just
have a
out
dialogue.
Of, I would say like out of niceness, out of curiosity, out of you never know, like, you know, what
Yeah.
led to the decision, but like it was a nice experience. It was it was a very nice experience. But anyway, backtracking.
Well, we're
Camera,
going in the
photography.
yeah, we're getting like, so you're in photography, like you're going towards the creative profession. At what point in your life did you stop your day job and like eventually have
So
job as photography?
at this company I was working with, Charlie. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name because I mean they don't exist anymore.
You can say XYZ or you can say the name. I don't care.
It was called Virtual Village.
Okay.
So when the financial crisis hit,
Oh.
they took a massive setback. And they also took a massive setback because they were trying to move their business platform from eBay that they were using to their own websites.
Gonna be some hiccups along the way if you're trying to do something like that. That's massive.
And I think like up to this day, I think the idea of the company was not a bad idea. Just the management fucking sucked. They had no idea what they were doing. Anyway, one thing leading to another. One day they fire all of the foreign staff, or almost all of the foreign staff.
Damn.
So I ended up being like, I've been working for them for like 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
No, wait. How is that even possible? 3 years. Yeah.
Okay, 3
so
years.
it's like 2010.
Mm-hmm.
They fire me. They leave my, like, they keep, like, I can keep my visa. You know, they're like,
That's
okay,
nice.
yeah, you leave, but like, just like keep your visa until it's expired.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool. And so at the time, like, so going back to photography real quick, like at first I was just like taking photos, like just for fun. Like, I guess like everyone, you know, does now with their phones pretty much. And then like one summer I went back to France. I picked up like an old Canon AE1 from like my dad's closet. And I was just like, you know, that's a camera that took pictures of me when I was a kid. So I have like a emotional link to it.
Sentimental value.
Yeah,
to
it has like total sentimental value. Otherwise, like, I mean, it's a great camera, but like it's a shit piece of camera.
Yeah.
And I brought to Shanghai and I started shooting like a shitload of film. And I realized like how much I was spending on like developing. Like
It's expensive.
it was expensive. It's still very expensive.
Still, yeah.
It's still very expensive. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy a digital camera. So I bought like we're talking about Olympus earlier. I bought like a Olympus EP1.
Okay.
And I just like started like shooting around and all that. And I feel like I landed my first job like out of pure luck. Do you know any Kim?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brian Smith's.
Yes.
Yeah. Brian Smith's wife.
Yes. Mrs. Smith.
Mrs. Smith.
So like we were all on the weekend like in Zhujiajiao, and I was just like taking photos and I sent them around afterwards. And like Annie gets back to me, she's like, yo, my uncle saw your photos and like he wants to know if you're available like to do a job like in the south of China near Zhongshan.
Wow.
And I was like, like, you know what, like,
let's go.
Like you're giving me money like to take photos. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Let's do it, man. Like,
yo.
And I spent like 3 days there thinking like, anyway, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, somebody paid me to take photos. Could happen again, you know?
It could.
Yeah, like it was maybe, it was,
that.
maybe it was.
I love that feeling.
You know, it was like,
first
wow.
time.
They hired me again. So somebody is actually the same person, but like I get paid twice to like take photos. And like, I'm like mind blown at time. I'm like, holy shit, like this is like I'm getting like easy money, you know, like I'm doing something I love and I'm getting paid for
That's
it.
the problem with the creative industry. It's like it feels like you're stealing because it's something you like to do,
Yeah.
and you're getting paid for it. So it almost like in the mind of a creative, it doesn't necessarily make sense, and that's why I think a lot of creatives are kind of like bad business people sometimes because they don't necessarily know like, or it's. I don't know. You could disagree with me or agree with me, but it's hard to accept some at the beginning for sure. At the beginning,
for sure. Yeah.
it's hard to accept like you're gonna pay me for what I like to do, like, and it's hard to go past that.
Yeah.
So you keep going with. I just wanted to say that. Keep going with your story. Like,
so this happened, and what happened then?
after you're the second time you got paid. And
I was like, I wanna. So I was always very connected to the music scene here. And I had met like people at the shelter back in the days.
Sure. This is stuff I definitely wanted to talk about, like the introduction to shelter.
Man, see, like things are actually like flowing in your direction somehow.
We're flowing.
Yeah, and so like I worked for about a year, doing like a photo documentary about the beat scene in Shanghai. That was very inspired by a photo book that came out in the US a while ago. Where this like photographer was like hanging out like Mad Libs and like J Dilla's studio and like some other people and just like taking photos of like the places where music is created pretty much. And I was like, I like the idea. Obviously like the range of people have access to are not as famous as those guys. But I think they have a very interesting story to tell as well because we are in a very, I would say like cultural gray zone here somehow. So I started like showing those guys in their studios, whether it would be in their bedrooms or in like rented out spaces or, you know, in like one room of their house, which were like dedicated music studios, and interviewing them and trying to like trace a map of the Shanghai music scene at the time.
Interesting.
And
was this like what was the client? Who was the client?
It was just me. It was like
so it was a personal project.
It was personal project. It was a personal project. And yeah, I think it took me about a year to like interview people, put it together, find somebody to kind of like design it for me because I kind of like sucked at design.
So somewhat of a zine or a magazine, or
it was kind
for a blog, or
it was released as a 35, 36 pages PDF.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with like interviews, photos, links to like people's music back in the days.
That's awesome.
And Charlie at the time, I think he had released Shanghai 5 already.
Yeah.
And he was in contact with High Beast.
Sure.
And we're talking about this photo project, and he was like, dude, you gotta release this. And I was kind of like, yeah, nobody's gonna give a shit about that. It's just like me like playing around and like taking photos and trying to like make sense of how to make a personal project. And like one day I think like I told him like, oh, I think it's finished. Like I think it's, I think I'm done. Like this is baked. Like it's ready to be eaten. And I sent it to him, and like he sends it to somebody at High Beast right away. And he's like, oh yeah, she's coming on High Beast tomorrow. And I'm like, wow, shit, that's crazy. So this came out. There's a lot of views. I think I had like some good feedback. And through that, I started working with High Beast as a photographer for them in Shanghai.
Cool.
And in parallel, I was doing architecture photography for my previously girlfriend, now wife's company. So her boss kind of like taught me how to like take architectural photography, like photographs, interior photographs. At first, like he was hiring me for like no money, then like for dirt cheap, then like for like fucking like bargains, like I get like a PS4 out of it at some point, like or a
traded,
or like a PS3. I forgot.
Probably PS2 back in the day.
That was fun, but like all that matters is like he gave me a chance, and like he like really guided me. When I look at those photos right now, like I fucking sucked. Like I have no idea how it happened.
How they accepted it?
Yeah, how they accepted it.
But the artist is always critical of their work. Always.
Yeah, I mean, no, in like absolute objectivity, like they were really fucking bad photos.
I haven't seen them, so I can't say.
I mean, it kind of like slowly like worked out. So like on the one hand, I was doing like some architecture and interior design photography with like different clients. On the other hand, I was working with high beasts and shooting like retail stores, like retail opening store. Like I shot X158 dozens of times for like different exhibits that were setting up. And like once in a while doing some lifestyle project for them as well. So it all came out down to that, from like, you know, being called up by my homie and be like, yo, like my uncle wants to hire you for some money. And like,
so sick.
And yeah.
How a favor can, it was a job at the time, but like, you know, like mix of a favor and a job for the first opportunity turns into a career. It's like, it's a beautiful story. And yeah, it's something that I can, you know, relate to, like just starting out shooting, being an intern, being an assistant for Push, and then eventually getting a full-time job through them. It's an amazing city to develop your career.
Yeah, it's I think it's a city where if you're bold enough, you can land jobs that like you have no idea how you're gonna do them. But if you have the balls to take them and like the willpower to make them happen, you will surprise yourself, and you will only like grow in experience.
Definitely.
And I don't know how it is in the US, but like now that I'm back in Paris, when I see kids, photographer wannabes, I like have no idea how the fuck you guys do it. Like nobody's here or around to give you a chance somehow, or maybe not that I'm aware of now, but I feel like this is much more difficult.
Yeah, I have mixed opinions because in one sense, I mean, you didn't necessarily have the internet at your advantage. Today, people have the internet at their advantage in terms of being discovered.
Very true.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? You know, like the influencer culture and stuff like that. Do you have an opinion?
I don't want to talk about
it. No questions.
No, please, no questions. But like, yeah, I really enjoyed the Fire Festival documentary.
Oh, dude, that thing was crazy.
Yeah.
The idea that you can just like fake something and it just turns into this massive event.
I work with, I don't work with influencers per se, but like I always work in the peripheral environment of influencers, because like back in France right now, I do a lot of photography for agencies that set up events for brands. So I let it be like new spaces, shoe releases, block parties, whatever, like you name it. And so I shoot the spaces in an architectural way before the events start. So I don't even know how to define my job. Like, you know, I'm between an event photographer and an architecture photographer.
Yeah.
But I don't really shoot event photography afterwards, or like very seldom. But I see a lot of those influencers. And I'm like, I don't get it. I think they're very sad people.
You know, that's
I think
funny.
it's a very
you say
sad
that.
culture.
Yeah, I agree with it. Because like you see these people, they look so happy. But like, for example, I tried to vlog for a couple of days. And I would like, you have to act happy on camera.
But wait. Like, I mean, now you have 100K followers on Shanghai Observed. Does that make you an influencer?
I don't know what it means. But the funny thing about it is like, my face is not attached with that Instagram.
Right. But like, maybe somebody's going to contact you like Nongfu Spring.
No, I'm doing a job next week.
Shit.
Trip.com. Yeah, I could plug them right now. Why not?
All right.
Yeah, Trip.com is sending me to 5 bumblefuck cities around China.
Good luck.
Yeah, they're pretty random cities.
Do you have the names of the cities already?
I know Jiaozhuo. It's near Henan province. Yeah, they're gonna be random ass places. I have no idea where I'm going.
I would advise you to. Do you like Chinese food?
No, so I'm going to be bringing a lot of Cliff Bars.
Get the fuck out! You don't like Chinese food?
Well, no, I like Chinese food, but I like Chinese food in Shanghai.
Right.
When you have like,
I had some of my best Chinese food experiences outside of Shanghai.
Really?
Although Shanghai food is fucking like.
I haven't really traveled outside of Shanghai. I'm very excited for this trip. Don't get me wrong. I love Chinese food.
Yeah.
But for example, when I've gone to like the Yellow Mountains, or I've gone to Moganshan, like. A lot of the food will be very bony, and just like that's the only problem I have with Chinese food is like when you have to chew through the bones. And other than that, I'm very
it's very common here.
That's what I'm saying. That's my only problem.
Yeah.
So if you can somehow get around that, I'm down. I just bones scare the shit out of me because my dad's a gastroenterologist.
Right.
And like,
oh, yeah, okay,
so
fair enough.
he is giving me the worst horror
No matter
stories.
what you do in your life, son, do not eat a bone.
That's all. Yeah, every fucking dinner we have. Like I'm trying to have like a basic ass dinner, and he's like, watch out for the bones. Like we're eating fish. I'm like, God damn it! Like let me live. Anyways, so that's always been like it's been ingrained into my brain to be
Awesome.
afraid of bones.
Yeah, we're in the worst country for that.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like there's bones in everything.
Yeah, even in fruits.
Somehow,
Apples have bones in China.
Yeah. Bon appetit. somehow they throw bones in it. What do you think why? I don't get it, man. Like I understand like the quickness of it to not take the bones out, but it's like they almost blatantly leave them in there.
I think bones bring flavor.
They
like
can.
This is one thing. Bones bring flavor. Maybe like meat attached to bone keeps better flavor than meat detached from bone. And also like people here love to break the bones and suck up the, like, how do you call this? The
bone. It's not bone marrow.
Not the marrow, but like,
Yeah.
the inside of,
Yeah,
I mean, although like bone marrow is fucking dope. Like bone marrow is great.
I completely agree. It definitely adds flavor. But just like people literally chew through bone here.
Yeah.
Like it's not a big deal to them.
Yeah, I think the dentist industry is not so like highly regarded here so far.
I don't know. I've heard it's pretty good actually.
It is no, I'm being a dick. I'm being an ass. I'm joking.
I was gonna go along with your joke,
No,
but I have to say that the dental program out here is surprisingly very
Yeah,
good.
thank God I never had a dental problem here.
Yeah,
so.
I know. J-Mart's told me he's been to the dentist a couple times out here.
Right.
I've never been to the dentist out here. Yeah, whenever I go to the dentist, it's back in America where you pay like 3 times the price.
When I go to the dentist, it's in France and it's free.
You lucky fucks.
Yeah, that's a good thing. So yeah, that's
So, anyways, we started because like I'm traveling to random parts of China.
Right.
So, did you say you've had experiences going to random parts of China?
So when I was working for my now wife's company, one of the biggest clients was the Greenland Group, which is a massive developer. I don't know if that's still the case. I still saw their name on the building, like on the way from the airport. And the company used to design sales centers. So when a compound comes out of nowhere, they would set up the sales center to sell the apartments before the places are. You see what I mean? And so I had to go, and so my wife's team and herself were designing sales centers, and I had to go and shoot the sales centers for them.
Oh, comes full circle, yeah.
Yeah, sleep with the client, all this shit, like
Yeah,
blah blah
why
blah.
not?
Why not? So I went to like a lot of random cities that I've never had been if it wasn't for that. So I'm grateful as well to have been like there. But I would say the best experience I had was when I figured out that like one of my homies was from a place that I was going to, and I asked her about what's the best street food you can have in this place. You know, like please advise me to eat something there that you personally like. And that's like that's on, and that's what she did, and I had a amazing culinary experiment there.
That's really good advice, because what I like to do generally is I like to go into an experience very blind, and and then the experience where it's very surprising and random can kind of make the experience. Yeah. And I'm usually a little reluctant to do research on where I'm going, but the benefit, as what you're saying, like right now I could reach out to my 100,000 fans I have on Instagram and be like, yo, I'm going to these cities. Like, what should I do in these cities? What food should I eat? And I think that could make the experience a little better.
It's for a job.
It's for a job.
It's for a job. Like I think if you have the responsibility of a client on your shoulders, you just can't fuck around. Like you can't just like be walking around for like 10 hours a day and like eat like C-store food.
Oh no! So my itinerary will be very planned out. Like we're going to events. There's like I know I'm going to a kung fu event. I'm going to some like Shaolin Temple. We're going to Shaolin. Nice. Yeah. So that will be one stop.
Excellent.
The first stop is I actually haven't done the research of what each place has.
Right.
I just like this came up so quickly. Just the other day I found out.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Before or after the 100,000?
It was before.
Shit.
But I think they saw it coming. I think they were like, yo, this dude's on track. This dude's on track. He knows it's about to hit.
So the potential.
They saw the potential.
Yeah, just get food recommendations because after a long ass day, you know, you want to have some good food in front of you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Cause you know, Charlie has even told me stories about traveling like Western China and like he jokes about how they see like a mirage of a KFC and then that's like the best part of the trip. Like, oh my God.
Tell you what, like, so I'm in Shanghai right now. Like nobody cares about that. But like I'm in Shanghai right now because I was on a job in Fuzhou. And I think it's the first time after like having left China, but like the first time in China that the food was so bad for me during the whole trip. So yeah, good food is important.
Yeah.
And
you were saying the bad food is in Fuzhou or?
No, I'm saying like the catering, like the catering of the event was shit. I mean, no, actually like what was served to the client, like to the customers was amazing, but like the catering for the staff, the staff food was shit. And everybody got super excited, me included, when they ordered like a rip-off KFC burger for everyone.
Yeah, it's so funny.
You know, and I was like, I'm in China, I'm eating a chicken burger. Like this is not how I envisioned my China trip at all.
Yeah, yeah. When we've had clients like, or sorry, not clients, but we've had a director duo come in from New York. These guys rubber band, and they've never really done work in China.
Right.
And when we brought them over here, they were like, the experience was great. Like everything was cool, but like the food and the catering was so shit. Because like in LA or New York, like when you do a production, there's a lot of budget that actually goes into that. Like they hire a team that does the service of food.
And you have to keep people happy. And I think food is the battle.
It's the bottom of, like it's the foundation of what can like bring people's energy
who
up.
Had a good dinner or a good lunch and is happy with like what they ate will be 10 times more productive than somebody who ate fucking like steamed rice and steamed vegetables with a bunch of sauce. You know, like although it can be yummy too, but like, you know, come on, like it has to
let's
be proper.
elevate the game a little bit.
Yeah.
Because dude, I've worked on several, like at least 10, 20 productions here in Shanghai. And this one, it was pretty gruel. Like we were like the way that the team set it up to do the food catering, like we were in like the IE's like layer in the basement of, have you ever been to PSA, the Power Station of Art Museum?
I've shot in there.
Yeah. So this is where we were doing our event, our production, like commercial, whatever. So we're in the basement.
Holy shit.
And we're in the basement. It's like a boiler room, and it's like this weird cafeteria setting.
If I'm not mistaken, we can see the tower of it, like from the roof.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah. So we're in the basement, and like it's just a very like industrial, grimy environment. And then they're handing us the food like prepackaged in these styrofoam containers. Like it just looks crusty, and we're all just, like, I'm used to it, but these guys from New York are just like, what is going on? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can totally imagine. And like so I was with a bunch of people who had never come to China before, and we're staying 2 hours away from Fuzhou Airport in bumfuck nowhere in a semi-ghost city, and in this hotel that has like more marble than anywhere else in the world, like, you know, China style.
Yeah.
And they had like a Western menu, and all of those guys were keeping on ordering Western food and being disappointed because it sucked. And I was like, guys, like seriously, even if you're not like familiar with this, like the Asian dishes, go for them because they'll be 10 times better. Like you're not in a geographic location where they're gonna serve you a good burger.
Sorry, buddy, you don't have the luxury.
Yeah.
Deal with what you got.
I think like, you know, like a Hongsha Neuro Man is gonna be 10 times better than like your burger.
Definitely.
Sure.
I think that's one of the things that has helped me grow as a person, living in China, living in Asia. You know, rolling with the punches. Being able to adapt to the, like, oh, I can't get my hamburger, I'm gonna have some like rice with noodles, whatever.
Did it spread your culinary experiments to be here?
I've always been very open, but I've fallen in love with, like, I'll go back home to America and I'll be like, damn, I'm missing like those family style dinners. You know, you go out with friends and ordering a ton of small dishes and everyone shares.
Yeah.
In America, that's not something people are used to.
Neither-
Everyone is
neither in
so
France.
used to having their own personal dish
Yeah.
with their own personal
Which is
appetizer.
so boring.
It's very boring. And
Also, if you fuck up in the choosing
yeah,
process,
if you choose wrong, like you're done. But
Yeah.
but you choose 10 small dishes for everyone to
Yeah,
share.
yeah.
If 2 of them are bad and 8 of them are good, everyone wins.
absolutely.
So that's something that I've really loved about Asian culture is the family style of dinner. That's been so nice. Yeah, we were getting a little into your client experiences. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is like really good client experiences from really bad client experiences.
Oh,
Because we were talking about like for example, like for me, it's not a bad client experience, but like having to serve like the rough foods to like foreign clients.
I don't want to name names.
You don't have to name
I don't have to
names,
name
but it's
names.
just the experience itself.
Bad client experiences are when the brief changes when you're on set.
Mm.
You know,
On set.
on set. Like I did.
I guess
this,
that really hasn't happened to me. No.
I did this show. Like I did this fashion show where I was hired as a trial. Like they didn't like they just wanted to see like what I could do.
Mhm.
And I mean, like I made it clear to them that like my skills were like architecture and interior. I was not interested in the event. I was not interested in the fashion show itself. I would shoot a bunch of pictures for the fashion show to like illustrate how the set is being used.
Mm.
That was it. And the owner of this company has an alcohol brand that he pushes on every event that they do. And like the assistant at some point like comes to me and she's like, "Oh yeah, can you like take photos of people drinking cocktails with like, the boss's booze?" And I'm kind of like, "Yo, this is not what you hired me for." But like, like you can't like be unprofessional. So I'm kind of
Right.
like, I'll do it anyway, fuck it. And when it was like the worst, I think is that at some point like some waiters like would come up to me and be like, "Yo, you want to drink? Do you want to drink? Do you want to drink?" And I'm like, "No." And like maybe like the 5th one, I'm like, "You know what? Fuck it. Like I'm just gonna have a sip of actually what I'm shooting on top of like what I'm supposed to be paid for." And I have a sip, and like this chick comes back to me, she's like, "Yo, you're not supposed to drink on set."
Fucking Christ.
And I'm like, "Yo, you know what? Fuck you." I was just like, fuck this shit. Like I'm drinking a glass of whatever shit it is, but like I'm still gonna do the job. Like this is not gonna affect me. And like I'm not your like, I'm not your slave or your IE or whatever. Like so, if I want to drink on set, I'm drinking on set.
Yeah. You're still doing your job. You're creative. They gotta understand that shit.
Yeah, but this
it's not
is
like you have to do financing or some shit.
I would say that like altogether, like anything that has to do with like luxury and high fashion has a very weird mindset.
A little more of a protocol to like the style, the work environment.
There's a lot of protocol, and I can be like a little bit raw sometimes. So I feel like I work a bit for them, and like most of the time it's very fine, but like it's very like if you ever want to see me in a suit, that's when I shoot fashion. That's pretty much the only way.
Is this something you do? You will wear a suit if you feel
have to.
You have
it's protocol. Yeah. I mean, I brought a suit to Fuzhou.
Really? Because you didn't know what to expect.
No,
like,
I had to.
Oh, you did wear it?
No. We always get briefs saying like, yeah, this is dress code, like leather shoes.
I don't mind that. If the client is requesting it, that's not a big deal.
It's fine, but
but it's more like if they're gonna give you shit for drinking a glass of wine.
Yeah, no, that was
whatever alcohol there was.
Yeah, but no. Otherwise, I was like bad client experiences. Like, I mean, I had some in China where like people don't read the contracts and then they ask you to like speed up the production part, and like you have to show up way earlier because XYZ reasons, and you show up earlier and enough. In my industry, like I would say industry, like angle of photography, like because it has to do with construction, there's always something happening which is not planned in advance. And many times over, like people are like, like you need to show up like on this one day, and then they're like, oh, can you show up like 3 days earlier because it's gonna be finished? And then you show up, you shoot the photos, and they're like, oh, we're missing a lamp. Can you come back in a week? And you're like, well, it's 2 shots, it's not 1,
Right. So that's something I wanted to ask you is, life as a freelancer, advice for people coming up who want to be in the freelance industry. The problem that I struggle with is you're a creative, and at the same time you have to be a business person. So did it take you a long time to, kind of like set those rules? Like from what I've experienced, it helps a lot to just be like, listen, like have some, like how to learn how to have a hard tone with the client to be like, you hired me for that one day. Now you're asking me to come back for another day to shoot the lamp. So did you have any learning experiences with that? Like, is there anything that helps you maybe be a more like down to the word, like creative person as yourself? Do you know what I'm getting at? Like, how do you deal with the client?
I just want to go back to like the previous question when you said like a bad experience. So I talked about like, bad experiences, but like good experiences, I think there are plenty. I mean, like most of my clients are super lovely and we've been working together. Since I got to Paris, I've been working with like many different people, but regularly as well. And they're all very lovely people. And I think in most cases, we understand each other. They trust me. I trust them. There's no surprises. You know, it's just, and as an introduction to your next question, I think it's just business, you know, and depending on the domains that you shoot, the type of photography that you do, there's more or less creativity involved, and I think that we also all float around industries that require in 2019 to be extremely fast. So you don't have time to like fuck around and think like, oh, you know, I'm gonna take the next best picture ever. It's like you have to be concise, you have to know your skills, and yeah, you just have to fucking deliver. So you have to be clean, and you have to be fast. You have to know your gear, you have to know your possibilities, you have to know your protocols. It's business. It's a job. At the end, it's a job. It's a fucking job. Like I think the whole aura of not mystery, but you know, like the way everyone's like, oh yeah, freelance. Like I want to be a freelancer. Yeah, but like, if you want to be successful, you gotta be on fucking point. And what you don't know is that there's nobody who's gonna pay your salary, who's gonna do your taxes, who's gonna market your company, who's gonna contact your clients for you. There's nobody who's gonna find the jobs for you. There's nobody who's gonna, you know, go to the bank for you and like solve your problems, or like go and buy you a new computer because your computer is broken. It's like it's all on you, bro. So you have to really be good at it. And it's I think that's why, like, for me, what I do, I don't regard it as creativity. Like what I do professionally, I don't really think there's anything creative about it. I don't know if that's a sad thing to say or not.
No, I actually really like how you worded that, because like for me, when you market as creative, you're kind of putting it in a zone that is, it can be interpreted as good or bad. If you don't market as creative,
I don't like the word creative at all.
If you don't market as creative, you market as like, this is my pure service as what I offer. Yeah. I can provide you a video recap of 1 minute long, and it's going to be this.
Yeah. I'll like
that. Actually helps me a lot when I'm thinking about how I pitch to my client. Because if I'm pitching it as a creative thing, for me, a creative process is like, sometimes I will produce something good and sometimes I will produce something bad. Right. So I don't want to give that to a client. I don't want to give them the potential option where I produce something bad for them. But if I don't pitch it to them as creative, I pitch it as a hard service that makes me more confident in what I'm saying to them.
I think it all comes down to, or like actually the starting point is your portfolio. I will talk specifically about photography because that's my stuff, but like people think at the beginning like you have to show everything that you've ever done, you know. I think that you are the master of your own narrative, so you can choose to show. You have to curate, like you just have to curate, and it has to make sense in the end. Like it has to flow together. And when your client has seen your portfolio, or your potential client, they have to know what you're all about. If there's some grays, I mean, like, you know, if you put like some dog pictures and like you put like some architecture photography in the middle, and there's like a wedding photo in the center, and there's like a portrait of a singer, and there's like photos from a skate session, like a skate session, and then there's like a fashion shoot, you're gonna look at it and be like, yo, dude, like, what do you do? Like,
You're all over the place.
Like, what is it that you do exactly? Like, how can you deliver fast? And how can we trust you with our image? You know?
Yeah, that's something that I struggle a little bit as a creative, because I like to do so many different things, but a client doesn't want to see that you do so many different things.
Like it's not because one of your clients doesn't have to see all of your shit.
Right. So I guess it's about curating your portfolio.
Yeah,
that's your message.
It's all about curating. It's really all about curating. And it is hard. It is probably even harder than the job itself because
do you have a lot of people look over your portfolio? Do you have friends and family or how do you deal with that?
I think at the beginning I was showing it to like seriously anybody who like had anybody was saying yes or was
anyone
like fuck yeah, you know, like
anyone who wanted to see it.
Problem is that everybody has an opinion. So like whose opinion do you trust?
That's the other thing. Like I'll get 5 different opinions from 5 different friends that I know and trust.
Yeah.
Fuck, which one do I listen to?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I go with my gut. I go with what I think is best.
I go with my gut, and I think like my best advisor is my wife. Like I just show it to her, and I'm like, what do you think? And I try to keep it very concise. Like my folio is 15 pages. I don't know if it's big or not, and there's like maximum 2 photos per page. So my client is gonna see like 30 photos maximum. And yeah, with 30 photos, I need to show him that big brands have trusted me in the past to do shit.
Proof of concept.
You know, and like that I've delivered and that it looks good.
It's about all there is to it.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
That is really all there is to it.
Yeah. As we start to wrap up, I definitely still want to go back to 1101 because we're
sitting right now.
Yeah, where we are sitting right now.
I am sitting in J Mart's old room.
I still call it J Mart's room, even though it's my room now.
Yeah, it smells like J Mart in here.
Dude, it's been like 7 months he's been out of here. That's too funny.
But like when I get to Shanghai and like I think Charlie told me that J Mart had moved out of this place.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Things are really changing in this
city. Man. Ryan and we joked for so long that J Mart was never going to move out of here. And he eventually did. And I took it over.
So please tell me.
I'll tell you. So to jump back into it, 1101 is a pretty special and important place to me because, when I first got to Shanghai, it's my introduction to Shanghai. I met J Mart, Ryan, and Justin, and they're all skaters, all in the creative industry. Like Ryan's a painter, J Mart's, very good at what he does at Nike, design and, project lead. And then Justin's a pure skater, like a good dude. So I've always felt like this place has attracted creative people. Has it always been like that? Or like, what do you like? Is there a story behind what I'm feeling? So is you, J Mart, Lewis, and some other dude. Because like J Mart would tell me stories about.
So the other dude was, okay. I'm just gonna cut. Like I'm not gonna answer this right away. I'm saying like I want to say that I absolutely respect the fact that you're doing this type of like archaeology somehow about this place, and that you're recording it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like I really hope that like.
Dude, if you get something wrong, I don't care at all.
No. What I'm saying is like I think the process is fucking awesome and it's great to do it because it's history for some of us, And
dude, it's like that's what I want to do. Is like I'm gonna have J Mart on this show one day or the other, and
shit.
And I think he has a good memory. He's gonna he's been here for the whole time. Like he'll tell the story the way it was.
He knows every.
But just tell me it the way you remember it.
The way I remember it, so like, I think like almost all of us were kind of teaching at the time, including myself.
Really?
Yeah. Like this guy Emil was like definitely teaching. I think Louis was doing some. This is how I remember it. So like I don't know, like
like how you remember. Like man, we'll correct it in the future.
Don't take offense if it's wrong.
Just tell me how you remember it.
Louis was like running. He was like a runner for a company that would send shit. Super
Ryan told me about. Ryan used to do this shit too.
Yeah, so
they would go to different countries and just like on planes. Just go back
they were
on
planes all the time, and they were just like basically delivering things that were needed way faster than like any type of other service.
Yeah, like overnight delivery. Basically.
Yeah.
You can't get to that place that fast.
Yeah. And so like Louis was doing this for a while. I think Jamar was teaching as well.
Yeah, he was teaching for
He
a
was
little bit.
teaching, and like Lou and Jamar were running Vert as well.
Yep.
Oh yeah, shot some shit for Vert as well, actually, on that very rooftop.
I bet you did.
So we were wrapping up, but yeah, like everything comes together somehow. There's a lot of parties back in the days.
Yeah.
We're all I think, Lua had a girl for a while, like for long. His now wife, I think, had been with him for like
Fang.
Yeah, shit, you know Fang as well.
I met her since she's been back.
She's lovely. She's a lovely woman.
Yeah, they got 2 kids now.
Yeah,
How
I know.
crazy is that?
I heard that the night we met, like me and Louis were chatting for the first time in like 5 years.
Yeah.
Lovely. So yeah, lots of partying.
Yeah, I've seen photos of like the Thanksgiving parties, and I've seen J-Mart showed me a video on like this must have been in like the early 2010s, and it was with one of the first GoPros, and the walls are pristine white. You know what I mean? Like you were walking around before, and the walls are all cracked.
This looks like a cracked den right
dude.
now.
It's been going to shit because like. For people who have no idea what the place looks like, basically there's 2 ends of the apartment and both are balconies. So the wind will just blow through. And I think that's just kind of like taking a toll on the place after 10 years. The walls are crumbling. And
no, it's just like probably built with very cheap materials.
Yeah.
And it's very
well,
bad,
it's
in
just
a very
like
bad way.
The way that buildings are built here is a concrete foundation. And then there's the thinnest layer of like drywall.
You can see
that's it.
You can see it in the living room.
The thinnest layer of drywall. And then once that drywall is gone, it's the foundation of the building. There's no installation. There's none of that.
Right.
They don't do that in Shanghai, which blows my mind.
Yeah,
I don't know why that's the case. Actually, I do know why.
You do, because the line that separates China.
It's the line that separates China. Like Shanghai is on the bottom half of the line where they decided that no insulation will go into the buildings. And above that, every other city has insulation.
Central heating system and whatnot.
That's the story, right? It's pretty simple.
That is very much the story. Yeah. So 1101. Lots of parties.
And at that time we have shelter and we have a lot more nightlife. That's a lot different than the way it is now.
Yeah, but like we're also very removed from the city if you think about it. Like we're far from a lot of things.
Yeah,
like
Charlie would always joke that like it's super far out, but it's not that far out.
It's not that far out, but like when weed was legal in Shanghai.
Way back when.
Being motivated at like 10 p.m. to go, you know what I mean? It's like
you wouldn't really leave the house as much.
No, we would not leave. Like we would cook. Like believe it or not, like we would cook a lot. J-Mart's an awesome cook.
Just bring the mic a little bit.
J-Mart, you're an awesome cook.
J-Mart is an awesome cook. He loves to take care of the party.
J-Mart is an awesome cook. So we used to like cook quite a bit here, and we used to have a lot of parties because I think it's probably easier for people to come to us than actually having to go anywhere. And I mean, the place is big. It's convenient. The rooftop's always been open. I still don't understand how the fuck nobody died there. And that's great. That is so great. But
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. But seriously, like I've seen parties that I was kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Like people on like the elevator shaft towers and shit, like
oh my God,
drunk out of their heads. Chinese New Year's here, best view in the city.
Yeah, tell people about China. A lot of my listeners don't know Chinese New Year
because
anything about it.
So
even like what it's about, like the fireworks.
So mostly. Chinese New Year is based on the lunar year, on the lunar calendar. So it shifts every year by a little bit. And I think like from a very mainstream level, like it has to do like Chinese zodiac, like pig and stuff like this. But in Shanghai, they used to celebrate by being like in family, like with family, having big dinners and all that. But like the next level would be to go out on the street and like light up fireworks.
Right.
So I think it lasted for a couple of nights or like 3 or 4 nights. Like this one, I'm not so sure about. But there is one night which is for the money god. And so you could buy fireworks at every corner, like every corner store had fireworks. And the more money you had, the more fireworks you wanted to buy because you had to be the loudest in the hood pretty much.
Oh my God.
And then you have the money god night, which is where like everyone splurges and buys the biggest booms they can because the money god has to hear you and basically make you more successful next year. And I think now it's pretty died down in
It's 100% died down.
It's fucked
There's
up,
laws
dude.
on it.
Like,
I'm very lucky that 2016 was the last year. Like, so first year that I got here was 2015, and I got to experience a pretty full-on firework experience. Like there was just everywhere. They literally, we're on the 11th floor right now.
wait, Alex,
and they were exploding.
I'm telling you about like throwing fireworks out of windows.
I'm not claiming I experienced the heyday. That sounds fucking crazy, throwing fireworks out the window.
That was stupid.
But they were lighting off in the middle of the city, and I got to see it at eye level. And then 2016, it was very dim. There was not that much. And then since then, completely gone. They totally put the hammer on it. Like they're done.
Like they know how to do.
They know how to do. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very sad because I think last Chinese New Year, like so 2000, like early 2019, I posted something on Instagram about like Chinese New Year, and I found out like some old photos I had taken from this rooftop of fireworks, and I think someone had told me that this was gone, and
the rooftop or the
fireworks.
Yeah, the fireworks. Yeah,
the rooftop is still here.
Of course. No, but like the accessibility, whatever. But yeah, the fireworks are completely gone.
Yeah, and it's sad. I mean, it was cultural, you know, like it was like it was a cultural marker somehow, and I feel like China was a very strange place. I always think it is. It's a very strange place. But like when I ride 12 hours on a plane, I want to get to a place that like blows my mind. You know, like if I get out of the airport and I see like McDonald's, Starbucks, and KFC, fucking like why did I come here? You know, like no matter what else, like I think like the specifics of a place through like the old school culture is also like what defined identities, you know, in a good way.
I have strong feelings about this as well. Like, I mean, let's walk around after this. Like we'll go to, do you remember the old dumpling place? Like there's a wonton place. Long story short, what I'm getting at is like, there are old like lane villages that are just completely being leveled to build new high rises. And I have
Do you know there was an antique market up your street that was the bomb?
It was gone. That was gone before I got here. It literally like apparently was here for the first couple of weeks I was here, and you know Ryan was going to bring me to it, and then we literally get there and it's gone. That was my first experience of
things can disappear.
It just disappears overnight.
There used to be a school nearby. I like just like a couple of blocks away. There was a abandoned school. I don't know if the guys went, but like I went to do a project there with. Did you meet Ken last night?
Kef Leon?
Yeah, you know Kef.
I know.
You know
Ken,
Kef.
yeah.
Okay, you know Ken. So we had found this abandoned school, and Ken was like, "Yo, this is a blackboard, so I'm gonna do like a chalk drawing project." And I see the photos. Like he went there and he drew in his style, like a massive like fresco on a blackboard. Of like a Chinese school, like you know, like the half green walls, and it's okay. Total digression, but like those walls for me remind me of like GoldenEye, like the video games GoldenEye, like on a Nintendo
N64.
N64.
Fucking love GoldenEye.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you know, like you have like the Russian like facility, and all of the walls are like white at the top and green at the bottom, and this school looked exactly like that. And so there was this like abandoned school. I'm sure like he's not here anymore now. It's probably like shops instead. Like I don't know.
Yeah, gets replaced easily.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm really losing track. Like I'm really losing the thread of what we're talking about. Like it's a lot of digression happening.
Oh, we were starting to talk about how the neighborhood is changing a little bit, and like for me, I see like the pros and cons of. Like we were talking about how like when you come to Shanghai, you don't want to see KFC, you don't want to see Starbucks, you don't want to see McDonald's.
Yeah.
So for me, like, okay, China is not going to forever stay in this ancient air quotes, vibe.
Absolutely.
That's impossible. They're not going to want to do that. So I totally understand like they need to progress. They need to, like they have a capitalist system. Like even some economists say like Shanghai is more capitalist than America.
Most likely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but I do know the main thing is like things are changing.
Yeah.
So the idea is just that like you have to kind of accept that things are changing. You can't just keep like these old hutongs and old villages around forever. Like that's not sustainable for them.
I try to reflect on that a lot because having lived here from when I was 22 to 32 ish,
Full decade.
like almost a full decade, like to six, like closest like 6 months is a full decade. It's for me, and like I think from a lot of our homies, it was very important because this is the era where you're out of university. You are an adult, you're supposed to be independent, and you live your first life experiences. Like you're like, I think like Shanghai made me a man. Like not in terms of, and like, you know, not in terms of like specific, but like all of the work experiences, like the relationships, like anything is like, you know, I came here as a kid and I left as a man, very much so. But for that, I think the whole environment was very important because things were what they were. And like, you know, there was shelter, there was like Arkham later, there was arcade, like homies were skating at Love Park, you could smoke weed on the streets. And it was an era. It was an era, pretty much. It was an era, and that's how it is. And what I was telling Charlie last night is that I think the city grew up faster than we did. You know, and
that's crazy to think about.
But that's what it is. I'm sure, like, you know, we take like, I mean, we're all about the same age, so I guess like our parents are about the same age, you know, give or take. And I'm certain that like the places that we're born in, I've changed a lot too.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it affected us a lot because maybe our specific crew, you know, was a bunch of outcasts, and like we all loved Shanghai as like a home city.
I look up to you guys, like for real, like you, J-Mart, Charlie, Lewis, Ryan, like, and the people that surround you guys. I always looked up to you guys as the people who kind of were trendsetters in the creative community here. Like when I was working at Push, like that's how I learned how to be a creative. Like those, I don't know if you know Christian or Jonathan or any of those guys, but like, I don't know. And that's kind of part of why I do this podcast is to bring people like you who have lived a life in Shanghai and share that, because it's kind of gone. It's sad to say, like, it's kind of gone. It's kind of not, but it's kind of gone. That Wild West mentality of Shanghai is a little bit gone.
Yeah, but it's due to other factors.
Sure. But that's not even the part of the conversation. For me, the part of the conversation is like, I want to share with people, you know, the life that you guys lived and how you got to be where you are.
It was fun.
Yeah, I bet it was
fucking fun.
Because I feel very lucky that I even caught one last year of it. 2015 to 2016.
You're still super well surrounded.
Yeah.
You're still very well surrounded.
As easy as it, every generation says, oh, you should have been back then.
Yeah.
So even today, there still is plenty of good reasons to come to Shanghai.
You're hanging out with the dinosaurs.
I like surrounding myself with dinosaurs because, you know, they're the most experienced, and some people say like you are who you surround yourself with.
But I think like I don't know, man. Like I never, and I'm sure like I can speak for like a bunch of us as well. Like I don't think we ever like set trend to anything. We're just doing our thing. Like, and this is probably very cliche of an answer, but like we're just doing our thing. Like we're just like a bunch of homies, you know, like sometimes working together, sometimes not.
Yeah.
Showing each other's work, criticizing each other's work, not being nice, like being like, tell me what you think about it. You know, like don't tell me, oh, it's nice. You know, like
it's so easy to give, like that critique is such bullshit. You got to give a little bit of negative and a little bit of positive criticism, like in order to be true critique.
No, absolutely. Like I don't want to like show my shit to you if you're just like, oh, it's so good. Like I know it's good. I made it. You know, but like, what do you think about it? You know. And anyway, I don't think any of us was really in this mindset. And I mean, like from the people you've interviewed, I think like there's a lot of people who've had a lot more impact on the actual scene. And Archie is one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Rodney is definitely one of them as well. In different levels. Charlie's most likely like very much one of them as well.
Definitely. I'm gonna have him on again actually before he leaves. Yeah.
I think Charlie is he's the fucking bomb.
He's a really good dude.
Yeah.
So talented.
Like, I was just doing my thing. I was just like, hanging out with my friends, connect to the right people, lover of culture in general.
Did the apartment, like for me, this apartment has been interesting because it's all the rooms have kind of just like swapped out with different people from different backgrounds. Like eventually I came in, but before me, I've heard there's many different people. How long did you actually stay in this apartment for?
Very good question. Like a year, 2 years?
Only 2 years?
I think 2 years.
So when did you leave Shanghai? When you left this apartment, did you leave it for good or did you move in with your now wife? Or?
So my girlfriend at the time, well, actually like homie at the time, her brother lived in China as well. And her brother lived just like on a compound in Laoximen. That happened the compound where like my first office when I worked with this American journalist was. So like super funny how shit like,
it comes back,
everything like goes back in like full circle. And so she was living around the corner. I was living here. And I think like when we started dating in 2010 and I had been here for a year-ish. And shortly after that, I moved out because, to be honest, like I couldn't take the parties anymore. I was kind of like, yo, bro. I mean, I understand like hosting. I understand hosting. I love to party, but like I was on a stressful schedule all the time, and I was like, yo, like this needs to fucking stop. Like I need to have my quiet time. So I moved on my own for a few months, and then I moved in with my wife. I mean, my girl at the time.
Sure.
And then we got onto an apartment on like Camping Lou that some of the guys know, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But I stayed here for I would say like give or take, I would say a year and a half, not any longer than that.
That's interesting. I actually thought you would have been here longer.
No.
Did you and Ryan overlap or?
No. I know. I really like Ryan.
Yeah.
I haven't. Is he still in town?
He's in Shenzhen now.
Okay, well, if you see him, give him a hug. Or if you're listening, Ryan.
Ryan, I think Ryan is a true listener.
Ryan Nemo, if you're listening, what's up? I still have some drawings of Ryan's that we bought.
I got some stuff right there. He's been painting on newspaper recently.
Yeah, he's gotten much better.
Ryan's
we still
a homie.
We still have some drawings from Ryan in our living room.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't stay here for so long. It was a very intense experience. I think people were always cool. Like there was always a lot of music involved. There was always like a lot of girls.
I think that's J-Mart's doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say.
He's the host with the most. He's always inviting the whole party over.
Yeah. I mean, fuck. Like we had parties here, like private parties with like DJ Vadim, for example, who we brought to China together. And like taking photos on the rooftop, those guys, going to there used to be a Xinjiang place up the street.
Yeah, like right down over that way. I don't know if it's still there, but Justin used to take me to a Xinjiang place and it...
No, it was a one with there was a floor, like a first floor, with like some really funky wallpapers. And they were... like where the veggie temple is? Like the vegetarian temple is?
I don't know.
Wait, do you live here?
I don't know if I live here. Okay, vegetarian temple, no.
There used to be some place called Jackie's Beer Nest.
I know Jackie's,
Jackie's still here?
I think he closed down, but the roommates of this house introduced me to Jackie's Beer Nest.
Jackie's Beer Nest, awesome.
Legendary spot, yeah.
So Jackie's Beer Nest, and there's like 2 streets going up. In one of the streets, there used to be a Xinjiang restaurant with owned by Uyghur people.
Okay.
And they used to be very good cooks and also very keen on selling their marijuana to us.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there was that. There was like, there is a temple. I'm sure the temple is still around, and the temple has a canteen that makes vegetarian dumplings, which are fucking amazing. It makes me hungry. But,
I'm getting kind of hungry too.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we start to wrap this up, I wanted to dive into like, eventually you left Shanghai.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you know it was like time for you to leave?
I think I was in a, I don't know when it was time for me to leave, but like I had been in a bad mood for a while. I'm sure some people are going to laugh about that because
people call them China days. Like, and eventually if those China days add up to China weeks or China months, it's like, maybe it's time to get out.
And I had been in like China years pretty much.
Oh shit.
Yeah. But like I was still very happy to have like a lot of homies in town. And the longer you stay in a place, the higher chance that like your homies back home don't give a shit anymore about what you're doing. And like, so like your crew is actually where you live. It's not like, it's not your high school homies anymore. So like my life was pretty much here. So I was like, that's all I have known for the past 9 years at the time. It's just the daily life. Like,
was that stressful for me? It's the same. Right now, I'm in the same boat.
Right.
My homies are in Shanghai. So I'm actually a little worried. Like if I was to move back to New York, like that's where I'm from, but I actually I'm more established in Shanghai than I am back home.
I think Shanghai gives you connections for life and all over the place. Like on any continent, with a plug in the industry as well because of the people we hang out with.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, like homies, I have still a few good homies back home, but like, yeah, maybe like a couple are really fucking close friends. Yeah, but like, so anyway, so I was here, like for me, life was just very easy here. I was like shooting, getting paid, living easily, drinking a lot at Feidan on Anfu before it became elementary.
Yeah, I still call it Feidan. I don't give a fuck. I'll call it Feidan till I leave.
And yeah, so that was super easy. And basically what happened is that my wife was not really keen on like staying much longer, and so we took a trip to Europe. She had to apply for a visa for she's from Pakistan, so just to put things in perspective. And so we applied for a visa for her to go to Europe for 3 months, being like, she's gonna take a sabbatical and like go around and like go to Berlin, go to Copenhagen. So we did like Berlin, Copenhagen, Paris, Amsterdam, and Lisbon, just trying to like feel the vibe and like think about the next step. But before this happened, we're like, yeah, we're gonna put like our apartment on Airbnb and just like, just let it pay for itself and like be easy in Europe. And the like June 2015 was extremely humid. Our walls started to rot.
Fuck that.
Our central, like we had a central AC, so we had like ACs like everybody, but like we also had a central AC system in the house. The central AC broke down, so it would kind of like turn on and off at any fucking time of the day.
Fuck.
And I was like, look, dude, like I think this is like the straw that breaks the camel's back for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be in Europe having to live with my landlord and having to deal with like the tenants to cover my rent with like a 6 hours different like time difference and whatnot. I was like, yo, you've always wanted to leave. Like, I'm kind of like over this shit as well. Let's get the fuck out of here. And like within 2 weeks, we had wrapped up all of our shit in a container. We had like given our lease to somebody and we're out of the country. Like we threw like one farewell here, like invited our closest homies and just like, yeah, peace out. That's it.
And that's it.
Yeah. Then we came back just for a month to finish like wrapping up and like to do a few more things. And then that was it.
Damn, yeah.
So there was no plan. There was no plan. There was no plan. It was very sudden.
Awesome. As we wrap up, can you tell people where they can find you? Like if they wanted to get in touch with you?
Don't. No, you can find me on Instagram at Benoit Florençon.
Okay.
I guess you'll have this in writing somewhere on the podcast.
Yeah, I will.
So this is kind of like my professional account, but there are like seriously 10 pictures on it. And otherwise, if you want to see anything that I've been shooting around Shanghai or around locations I've been to around the world. I have this other Instagram account called It's All Film.
I'll check it out.
You didn't know about
I
that?
didn't know about that.
See?
Surprising me every moment.
Hell yeah. And this is just more, I don't even know if it's street photo. It's just me with the camera having fun. Like no pretension, whatever. It's just like burning. Like, I mean, the handle is It's All Film, but like the bio is just like shitty pictures of an expensive film. And that's what it is. But
Sure.
I enjoy it 10 times more than like the professional one.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Benoit, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go. I want to join you actually.
Let's
if
go.
you're down. Like I have a roll of Cine. I want you to teach me how to use it. Let's fucking go do
I
it.
got a bunch of rolls with me. I want to grab some food and my favorite place is open. So
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. Thanks,
man.
guys. Peace.
Peace.
Boom. That's it. Thank you so much for listening. If you found this podcast valuable, there are many ways you can support it. You can rate and review it on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. You can share it with your friends, you can blog about it, or discuss it on your own podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe to this channel and like the video. Or you can support it directly. You can do this by going to my website. I'll leave a link in the description. Thank you for supporting the show. Listeners like you make it possible. Also, if you enjoyed the intro and outro music, it was made by my brother, Danny Greenberg. You can go and check out his beats at soundcloud.com/estoric. ESTORIC. Okay, that's it for now. Peace.